All right, I decided my next episode here was going to be about Kenny Loggins, about how I met Kenny Loggins one time back in probably about 1987, something like that. But I was working up in this club called the Players Club up in the Radisson Hotel downtown Memphis, right? It was a little rock and roll club, just opened up on the weekends, Thursday through Saturday night, I think it was, and we'd have different rock and roll bands, from around town play or whatever. But because a lot of musicians stayed at the Radisson, sometimes we'd get, famous bands or whatever, international bands and whatnot, musicians come down there. And one time, anyway, Kenny Loggins was in town doing a show at the Pyramid. So after the show, he was staying at the Radisson. He came down there and he wanted to come in, hear the band for a little while, to at the local hotel he was staying at. Like I said, it was right down in the lobby of the Players Club. It's where TGI Fridays is now in the Radisson Hotel, downtown Memphis, Tennessee, corner of 3rd in Union. So anyway, I seen him coming. I was like, damn, there's Kenny Loggins. He come up to the door, and he was like, how much cover? I said, dude, you Kenny Loggins, man. Kenny Loggins don't pay cover at no club. So he smiled, came on in. He walked around for a little while, listened to the band a little bit. And then he come up by the door. Everybody's trying to get his autograph and all. He's like, you mind I hang up here? I was like, no, no, you can hang up here. And anyway, we started talking. He was asking me questions, about local stuff in Memphis. And I was hospitable, and he was all good and everything. And a few minutes later, he headed out. So I thought, well, that was pretty cool. I got to meet Kenny Loggins, and talk to him for a little while. So I mean, he's a pretty big movie star. I mean, music star, but he's been in movies too. And anyway, I thought that's pretty cool, and I didn't think no more about it. Next day, I was in this little film they was making down at Peabody. It was a little training film for Peabody employees, and it was like, for the bars, was up in the Mallards Club, and Mallards, they serve drinks, but these were being made for Peabody wide. They were making this little training video to show waiters and waitresses, when to and not to serve people, how much they've been drinking and what their behavior may like. So anyway, it was about 6 of us. I was the only guy. It was about 5 girls and a guy, me being a guy, and we was in there, and we would play the different parts of customer or waitron, and drunk or sober or whatever, and when not to serve the drunk person. That's kind of what it's about. So it wasn't no pay for it really. The pay was that we got dinner and drinks at the Mallards Club at the Peabody where we was making the little film. So I was in hog heaven. It was just me and 5 girls, and they was all pretty good looking, and so of course I wanted to be impressive, and we was all sitting there, and like so we was eating dinner and having a drink, and about that time Kenny Loggins bust up in the Mallards Club, and one of the girls, she spotted and said, "Oh wow, there's Kenny Loggins," and they were all like, "Oh wow, Kenny Loggins, Kenny Loggins," and it was real early in the evening. There weren't hardly any people in the club. They had just opened up for public consumption. It'd been closed for us to make the little training film. And it, like I said, it just opened up. People were just starting to come in a little bit. It was early, probably about 6 o'clock. And anyway, Kenny Loggins come in. He's walking around for a minute, and so I said to the girls, I was like, "Hey, y'all want to meet Kenny Loggins?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, right. Like you know him. Like you can go get him and bring him over here." I said, "Well, I do know him." I said, "I'll go get him right now. I'll bring him over here, and y'all meet him." And they go, oh, Bullocks. You don't know Kenny Loggins. And I was like, all right, all right. I said, I'll show you. So anyway, I got up. I walked over, across the bar there. I found Kenny Loggins there. I said, hey, Kenny, how you doing, man? I said, you remember me from last night? He said, yeah, you're Wayne, the doorman. I was surprised he remembered my name, and us talking the night before. It was just the night before, and so but like I said, I was still kind of impressed. He remembered my name and all. I was like, hey man, I said, Kenny, you see them 5 girls over there at that table? And he was like, uh huh. I said, well, I said, I'm over here with them. We've been working together today, and I said, it sure really helped me out, score me some points. So I told them girls I knew you, and I could bring you over and introduce you to everybody. I said, and it sure helped me out if you'd, help me out with that. And he looked at me and said, so that's pretty big. It's a pretty big delivery for you, isn't it? And I was like, well, I guess so. Yeah, it probably score me some points, if I don't look like the biggest liar in the world. And I said, we kind of do know each other. We met last night, right? He said, well, come on, let's go. So we busted over there, and Kenny come up, was just as cool and as cordial. He kissed all their hands and gave them little hugs, and was just like, hey, Wayne, I appreciate you bringing me over here. Yeah, they cool, da da da. He stayed, 2 or 3 minutes there and was just really cool. And then as he left, he reached over and shook my hand and said, good seeing you again, Wayne. Said, I'll call you next time I'm in town. We'll get together. And I was like, hey, that'd be great, Kenny. I was like, that'd be real cool. So anyway, we walked off, and all the girls were just like, oh, dude, you do know Kenny Loggins. How cool. How do you know Kenny Loggins? I was like, oh, well, me and Kenny, we go way back. But then I told him the truth that we had just met the night before and how I brought him over here. I said, no, I was just playing around. I knew he'd go. He was a nice guy. I could tell last night. I knew he'd come over here. I said, I met him last night. And then all of a sudden they act like I'm some kind of big liar or whatever. But I told him, I was like, hey, I do know him. I didn't say we were best friends. I said, and he wouldn't. I said, y'all got to meet him, so well, what are you disappointed about? Well, no lie. I mean, I didn't say we were like best friends. So, but anyway, so that was pretty cool. But I still, like I say, that would be the end of my Kenny Loggins story, you'd think, right? But you remember in the last episode I was telling you about strange coincidences happened to me, right? So about a year later, I'm walking through the lobby of the Peabody Hotel one day with this buddy of mine from New York City, guy, or from Greenwich, Connecticut, actually, David Hornblower. And me and Hornblower, we've been hanging out for a while, but like I say, Hornblower, he's from Greenwich, and he went to Hamilton and St. Paul's, and he's kind of East Coast, Martha's Vineyard type dude or whatever, and he knows quite a few celebrities, from the Vineyard and New York City and whatnot. So anyway, but I mean, to him, I'm sure he didn't think I knew anybody like that or whatever, which I really didn't. But because he was always telling me about celebrities he knew and all. We were walking through the lobby, and Hornblower all of a sudden tells me, "Hey man, there's Kenny Loggins." So I turned, and I was like, "Where? Kenny Loggins?" And by the time I turned, Kenny Loggins had already spotted me, and he was walking my way, probably 6 foot from me. Wayne, how you doing, man? With his hand extended. And I was like, Kenny Loggins, how you doing? I was like, you remember me? You remember my name? He's like, dude, you were funny. He was like, how am I going to forget you? He said, da 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 da. And I was just like, man, I am so impressed. And he was like, no, you made me laugh last time. He said, I couldn't forget you. So I was kind of impressed, Kenny Loggins remember my name, remember me from over a year before. And I introduced him to my buddy Hornblower, and Hornblower was just taken aback. Dude, Kenny Loggins knows you? And I same way, though. I was taken aback. Like I say, a guy like that, he gets approached by plenty of dudes, won't act like they're his buddy or whatever. So, I wouldn't have really thought he was going to remember me, but I was kind of impressed by that. And I think Kenny Loggins is a heck of a nice guy. Like I said, even do something like that. But I'm gonna tell y'all another celebrity story in just a little while. As soon as I think of something creative. I decided to put the Peter Tork off for a while, but maybe we'll go with Gary Busey next time. I got a little story on Gary Busey. But anyway, I'm out. All right, tune in for the next episode.